Hi internet people, new episode of Riverdale, and a random shirt that seemed Riverdale-esque. Don't you feel like Archie would wear Superman clothes? I feel like he would wear this shirt. So, he can't have it, but I feel like it would work. He had DC Rebirth stuff on his walls. He would wear this shirt. Anyway, so this episode of Riverdale was called Death Proof. There is a drag race at the very end, brought to you by FP Jones, who was the unofficial sponsor of the whole thing. So this episode, Betty is still dealing with the Black Hood, but she broke up with Jughead, and the last time we saw Jughead and Tony, they were together. They totally had a sleepover, but according to Tony, it was a PG-13 sleepover. They apparently made out. They did not have sex, which I'm cool with. And then, over breakfast at Pops, Tony just informed Jughead that, like, I know you're not over Betty, I'm also more into girls than you. So, it's cool. Which is cool for Tony, because, one, we knew she was going to be bisexual. Two, I'm very glad that she's not actually going to be doing the weird love triangle bughead thing that was being hinted at as much. So that's a positive. I also appreciate that they have breakfast at Pops because that's super cute, just in general. Except Betty and Archie thought that Jughead was with Tony, which then led to finally Betty having a conversation with Jughead later in the episode. But so many things happened in this episode because, okay, Cheryl is still dealing with the fact that she got attacked by Nick. Like, he was going to rape her. So she told the cops, and this whole thing got super messed up. Her mom got paid hush money, we find out, and like, she wants Cheryl to forget anything ever happened. She actually tells Veronica's parents, nothing happened, which is creepy. And then Cheryl's like, didn't you hear my mother? Nothing happened. And Veronica's like, something happened, and it also almost happened to me, and I'm sure he's done it to other girls, so maybe let's rethink everything that's happening right now. Which is not okay in any way, shape, or form, because he literally roofied Cheryl at a party full of people! Like, not even the creepy Jingle Jangle party, which comes back up because Alice Cooper finds out about it and is not cool about the Jingle Jangle party, and actually everybody gets in trouble, including Josie. And Josie's mom then leads to this crazy, it's this terrible plan. She raids Southside with Sheriff Keller, and that's because the kids on the north side got Jingle Jangle, and she blames all of the south side for the Jingle Jangle. And then instead of the ghoulies getting arrested because the ghoulies are jerks, no, the serpents all get arrested. So Tony, Sweet Pea, they all wind up getting yanked into prison, and the ghoulies are just chilling, even though they're the ones with the Jingle Jangle. Like, the ghoulies are doing it. It's not even the serpents. So that happened. The only reason Jughead didn't get arrested is because Archie literally texts him, and then is like, Jughead's like, I have to take this, or call him, or whatever. And he's like, I have to go. And then Archie sees him and grabs him and is like, we have to leave, the cops are coming. And I was like, grab Tony? No, okay, we're not grabbing Tony. Great. But they can't press charges on any of the serpents because none of the serpents have Jingle Jangle. So it doesn't even matter that they raided the place. They raided the wrong part of the south side, or whatever. So, lots of things. I have lots of notes because I watched this very early in the day today, and now I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything. Black Hood wants to go after the Sugar Man, who is actually the person behind the Jingle Jangle. So he wants Betty to find Sugar Man. Then this whole thing, while Betty's investigating, she actually winds up talking to Cheryl because Clifford Blossom was connected to the Sugar Man. She insists the Sugar Man is made up because her mom made up the Sugar Man because it was just like the boogeyman who's going to take her and Jason away if they did anything bad. Then turns out, nope, Sugar Man is real. Sugar Man has been a variety of people. Yes, this recap jumps all over the place. I told you, I've mentioned this before, so if you're watching this and weren't prepared for spoilers and for me to jump from point A to point Z in the episode, then you haven't been watching them, and I'm sorry that you weren't prepared. But we find out Sugar Man is totally a real person. It's like a name that's been like handed down. It's not like a generation to generation thing. It's just like sleazy dude to sleazy dude. But turns out it's real. And there's actually a lovely moment between Cheryl and her mother, even though her mother is still kind of evil. Like, super evil. She now even has the, like, one black glove, which is not, like, it's the one black leather glove because she's supposed to be burned still. Like, it adds to the aura of, like, I'm not a nice person somehow. It's also just weird that she doesn't match it to her clothing. That seems very strange to me. But she and Cheryl have this whole thing where she reveals to Cheryl the Sugar Man is real and he's someone, and she tells Cheryl who the Sugar Man is, and that's all fine. It's great. They then also have a discussion about the hush money and how Cheryl, like, wants to press charges because Nick is evil, but, like, wasn't going to, which led Veronica to tell her parents, and Nick almost attacked her because they were still accepting money from Nick's family. And then Hiram Lodge sounds like he's gonna murder somebody, and then Hermione stands up and is like, we will never accept another dime from that family. And I was like, good for all of you. Yeah, so that's a positive. Something intense happens at the end of this with a car. Not in the drag race, though, surprisingly. I have jumped all over the place, but that's because I watched this a while ago in the day. That's what happens. But there's the moment with Cheryl. The hush money gets burned, which is good. They don't need the hush money. They really don't. So there's the Nick plot mostly tied up. But what happens for the serpents is that the serpents need the ghoulies because a ton of serpents are in jail. And so Tallboy decides, yes, we need to team up with the ghoulies. And the ghoulies live in the like their clubhouse is the House of Death. And looks like something out of like a cheesy vampire movie. And like the dude is walking around with like a half kimono or something. So they are gonna team up, but Jughead says no, like I'm FP's son, which means that no, I don't want this to happen. And Tallboy's like, you need to endorse it because you're FP's son, but I'm technically in charge because I was his right hand and FP's in prison. And Jughead's like, no. Then Jughead and Archie wind up going to see FP, who tells them they have to have a drag race because the ghoulies are really into their fancy cars. So they plan this whole drag race. If the serpents lose, then the ghoulies get the white worm and the trailer park, which is not great for Jughead. Then if the serpents win, the ghoulies have to stop. No more jingle jangle, nothing. They have to go away. So they have the actual drag race, and during the drag race, Archie is riding with Jughead. Again, I don't quite understand why. It just made me think of that cartoon show. I forget what it was called, but it had like Dastardly Dan and Muttley and like other people. It's currently being redone as a Hanna-Barbera comic. I don't remember, but everyone had a partner. It was a drag race show. You'll have to Google my vague description of it to know what I'm talking about. But they're drag racing. The ghoulies are trying to push them off the road, and then when they get to the bridge, Jughead literally is like prepared to die, so they'll win. And then Archie grabs the parking brake and they spin out, and then Jughead looks like he's gonna kill Archie. And then Archie's like, no, wait, we have to go because he called the cops. And all the ghoulies are getting arrested and the serpents need to run away. It's bad. Like, Jughead is pissed because now the ghoulies are gonna want vengeance because they're not gonna care that Archie called the cops. Like, they're gonna want to take Archie out. They're gonna want to take all of the serpents out. Like a whole mess. It's a whole mess. Oh, Jughead and Betty also made up. I did not mention that. She finally told him about the Black Hood situation, so now he knows why she broke up with him in the first place, and now they're back together. But now, with all of that sort of kind of handled, Betty reveals to Black Hood on the phone that she knows who the Sugar Man is, and she's not going to tell him because she wrote an expose and told the cops. So the cops are arresting the Sugar Man, who is freaking the English teacher who runs the paper who told Jughead he couldn't write about Jingle Jangle. So shady. So shady, dude. So shady. He gets arrested, taken to prison. She tells the Black Hood that the guy's gonna get arrested, but she won't tell him who it is. Then, end of the episode, we see the Black Hood in prison with a gun. And he shoots the guy, so it doesn't even matter. He tracked him down, he got into the prison. So, the like trailer for next episode, it looks like Betty thinks that Sheriff Keller is involved or is the Black Hood. I don't know. There's also like a really awkward scene. Admittedly, I was watching this with not the best connection, so it got a little glitchy. But I'm pretty sure Sheriff Keller was at least sweaty and shirtless. And I don't know what was happening. But yeah, so next week, not next week, there's actually a break for Thanksgiving. So this will be the last recap until December? Maybe not. I don't know the days. I think there might be one before December. Who knows? Since I don't do these on the same day all the time. But that episode was super intense. I really like the drag race element. I also feel like Jughead has a reason to be angry at everyone who lives on the north side because no one seems to understand how south side politics work. So that's a thing. Anyway, there you go. Let me know your thoughts about the episode below in the comments or on Twitter. I'm at CliffNotes. You can find my blog, cliffnotes.wordpress.com. I write for the Nerdy Girl Express, thenerdygirlexpress.com, and over on their Snapchat, the Nerdy Girl EXP. Bye, internet people.